Hey there, Starseeds! Welcome to Beyond the Cosmic Table. We're a group of friends from different cultures, backgrounds, and beliefs. We gather around our table and initiate honest and open conversations on how energy and frequencies influence what we create around us. By expanding awareness, we're able to journey with practical guidance leading to our highest awareness and conscious living. So, take a seat and join us at our table. A daily meditation practice is something that can be challenging for many. Avani, Dianne, Susan, and I decided to get together to talk about our practices, where we find challenges, what benefits we experience when we do practice consistently, and much more. If you find meditating challenging at times, or you're just starting out your own practice, this conversation may be helpful.
I thought it would be a good idea to talk about meditation and kind of share our personal practices. I know that a lot of people have daily practices that work really well for them, and others, like myself, that sometimes struggle. So I thought it would be a good idea to just share our experiences, because I know talking with a lot of other people outside of our group that are trying to meditate or maintain a consistent practice of meditation, that people struggle. So I thought sharing, what we do and our own challenges, would help people relate and maybe find some tools or techniques to help get into a better practice.
And what do you struggle with, Kim?
Just staying consistent. Personally, I just easily get distracted. And this is not just with meditation. This is with a lot of things that I need to do. Just meditation is one of those things. So when I get into a consistent meditation practice, I feel so much better and I have amazing, wonderful experiences. I don't know why I get out of the routine. I can't quite understand it, because when I am doing it on a daily basis, I have amazing experiences. I have information that comes down to me from my higher self, my guides. I've received messages from my angels, my grandparents have come through. Like, amazing, wonderful things have happened. I've gone into past lives, all sorts of amazing things. Usually a lot of information comes through when I quiet my mind and I'm in a meditative state and I get my pen and journal out and I start just automatically writing, and information comes through. And even during those moments, what I'm getting is kind of confusing, doesn't make sense. And then I can go back months, even a year down the road, and flip through my journal and see stuff that came through. And it's come to fruition like later on. And I'm like, oh, wow. So you would think that would be motivation enough for me to just sit down and be quiet and just allow the information to come. But for some reason, just the external things just interrupt on a daily basis. And that's where I personally struggle. And I'm not really sure what the answer with that is, other than be more disciplined.
So you're not even really having a hard time focusing during meditation. It's really focusing on consistently doing the meditation.
For the most part. There are times where I will force myself, if I haven't meditated in a long time, I'm like, damn it, I need to just get back into practice. And so I'll force it. And I've learned that forcing it doesn't work either. I naturally just have to wake up. There's been times where I've waken up and I'm just like, I get the call to just like, you know what, go and meditate. It's those times when I get that call that my meditations are the best. And I'll get the call to either pull an oracle card or use my pendulum to ask some questions and get some answers. It's those intuitive hits that I get where it's the best. It's the times that I try to force it because I haven't done it in a long time, where I struggle with quieting my mind.
Many, many years ago, I just gave up on the shoulds, right? That I should meditate every day, or that I should do it only in the morning, or I should only do it for, 30 minutes, or any of the stuff. Like, just, my biggest recommendation is just take all of that out the door, because there is no should when it comes to meditation. And it really is a personal preference. And if you're having an off day, that's when you give yourself some grace and say, it's all right. You don't have to do any of this, right? You can have a day when all of this goes out the door. So, for me personally, I stopped shoulding myself when it comes to meditation.
Would you say that you are on a consistent routine though with it, or?
I am on a pretty consistent routine. The one thing that I do on the days where I can't meditate, and I'd love for all of you guys to share too, is when I can't meditate, what I will do is in the shower, I will use that as kind of like my quiet time. And, it's almost like my multitasking for the project manager and Susan. I'll meditate, like kind of like just cleanse and use that as my time to connect. And I get a lot of intuitive hits then too. So on those busy days, really give myself grace, and I know I don't need to do a full on meditation. And when we're busy and we're so distracted, sitting down and doing a meditation isn't always, it actually ends up being a source of frustration because you can't always quiet your mind. So why not just do what feels better for you?
I want to chime in there because so many people think, and I used to think this too, that you have to, sit, quiet your mind, do all the typical stuff. But so many people, there's so many different types of meditation. So one thing, because when I have my Reiki clients over, I tell them, to quiet their mind, and they're like, I can't do that. And I said, no problem. I said, just think happy thoughts for the next half hour, an hour, whatever your session is. And the people would find when they came out, they were just like, I did exactly what you told me. As soon as I started to think about the laundry, the work, whatever, I just focused back on like your Peter Pan thought, your happy thought. And people are like, it's amazing if you can just stay in a very happy vibration. That, that alone is, for some of us, if you're having a bad day, like, you ladies were saying, it's hard to meditate or clear your mind. But if you could just take an hour or, even like 10 minutes, say, I'm going to stay focused on positive. Sometimes that's enough to switch your mood around and stay in that positive. The other thing is people don't think about, a lot of times, how many of us go out walking in nature and you start getting zoned out? I mean, that alone is a meditation. Yeah, your mind may not be perfectly clear, but hopefully you're not sitting there thinking about the laundry, the work, the to-do list. You're being present. You're being in the moment. You're mindful, because if you're hiking especially, I mean, I know, Kim, some of the places that you hike, you have to be very mindful out there in Arizona. Like if you're, climbing rocks and stuff, you're very in the moment. So sometimes maybe it's not so much of clearing your mind, but if you can just stay present and appreciating the situation that you're in, I mean, that's one type of meditation right there.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is one thing that I struggled with early on, was the idea of what meditation should look like. I always, in the beginning, I practiced with, sitting cross-legged, and had the mudra going on and that whole thing. And that did not work for me. So when I found what worked for me, that is when I had luck with it, but it's just the staying consistent part.
That was the thing that I wanted to mention too, is that, the whole idea of, sit down quietly and clear your mind. And I think it's lovely. And I am just amazed at those that are able to do that, because I am not able to do that. I'm not sure it's actually possible to just clear your mind. And so again, going back to what Avani said is, taking all the shoulds out of it, right? Just finding what works for you. And what worked for me is just being productive, being productive about it, right? So one of the things that Evie had taught me was she has her office set up in her mind. And so she has her office and, whatever, rooms or things that she has in there. She invites her team in. She'll invite her guides or people that she, historical figures, angels, whoever she wants to talk to, and then have conversations with them or ask questions. And I don't typically do historical figures, but I've got my team, right? And I'll go into my office and I'll consult my team and I'll ask questions and we'll talk and get answers on things. And that has actually worked so well for me in meditation. Kind of like, Kim talking about all the amazing things that happens to her in meditation. People are like, wait a second, I thought it was just quieting your mind and, being, silent for a while. I've come to really realize it's just really stepping into a different dimension, really. It's a different brainwave, and we're stepping into a dimension where we can now communicate better with wavelengths that are beyond our 3D world. And that's where I've found the most value in meditation, is in doing that. And it's really been amazing. And so that's what I'll do is, sometimes I'll just say, okay, I just want to be quiet for a while. And usually when I just want to be quiet for a while is usually when my brain is just the loudest. And so, but if I do go and take the stairs, which I usually, take the stairs into my office. And then I have a very serene setup. And then it actually does kind of quiet my mind. And then I can focus it on where I need to be thinking about or what answers I need to be getting. And people talk about how rejuvenating meditation is, and how much value they get out of it, and how calm they are afterwards. And I tell you what, when I get answers about my life, I am so much calmer and more rejuvenated in my life. And so that's what's really worked for me. And so again, just finding what works best for each individual.
Dianne, what do you do for your meditation practice?
I am one that mixes it up a lot. That's one thing my routines are always changing, because a lot of times when I sit to quote quiet my mind, now that I'm a channel, once that channel is open, they start coming through. And so, like Susan, a lot of times I'll meet with my, Kim had mentioned too, like you meet with your guides or you receive messages. But the other thing I've been getting, it's been so interesting, the last couple of weeks, I keep getting these messages about the ear. Hearing things also can be very calming. So some people listen to like different frequencies or like a chakra balancing. And for me, sometimes when I, want to not channel, but I just want to calm my mind, but you're trying to wind down, if you just pull up, there's a lot of apps or YouTube videos that you can get little 15, 20-minute guided meditations or even just music. And sometimes that'll really help me because you're focusing on the music. And it's interesting because there is that direct channel between the throat and the inner ear. And if we're listening to music and perhaps even singing along or like chants or speaking mantras, that sometimes people do that mantra, like to kind of get them out of the zone. When we're hearing stuff or we're speaking stuff and hearing it, our brain is being activated twice, because you're not only hearing it from the outside, but you're hearing it from the inside. And then if you also do breathing with it, that's when you can start reaching those altered states of consciousness like they do in shamanic drumming. And like Susan was talking about, if you can reach that altered state or a different dimension, that's what I enjoy doing, the shamanic journeys, the guided journeys and stuff like that. When you're blending a couple different modalities together to calm yourself.
When you talk about these guided shamanic journeys, is this something that you found on an app? What do you use?
For the shamanic part, I kind of use my guides to guide me on where I'm going. I use the breathing and either drumming or my own little mantra to get to that state where I'm calm enough to head off and go where I need to go. But all of that, once again, if you're incorporating the breathing and you're calming your heart and stuff like that, then we start getting into, you guys know I love about the frequency and the vibration. If you're doing that and you're getting to a higher vibration, then you're starting to, that boosts your health a little bit too. So all kinds of benefits. But yeah, my meditations are always, I try to calm my mind for, 10, 15 minutes in the morning always. But then later on in the day, I try to mix it up a little bit. Just depending on how my day has been and where I'm at, stuff like that.
Do you drink caffeine?
No, I haven't had caffeine in 20 plus years.
Yeah, I was thinking about that because I don't have coffee every day, but I do a natural energy drink.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been starting to think about that. I'm kind of addicted to it. It's my treat in the morning. It's my pick me up and it feels amazing. But I'm starting to wonder, maybe that's part of my problem. I have all this energy that I can't sit still. That along with, I've been consuming a lot of sugar lately too, which I think isn't helping. So between the sugar and the caffeine, I'm like, maybe if I detox from that a little while, I'll have an easier time just sitting down and focusing on meditation rather than getting distracted and having ants in my pants, which is pretty much what's going on. I either have ants in my pants or I want to go take a nap.
So speaking of naps, how do you guys meditate? Do you sit up? Do you lay down? Do you go in a certain pose? Do you guys do that same thing all the time? So or do you mix that up at all?
I usually do sit. I'll kind of I have a pillow. I'll lean against the wall. I'll be comfortable no matter what. I just have to make sure this is something that I can maintain for, anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour sometimes. And I'll have my journal and my pen in front of me and I'll just sit and I'll just wait. And sometimes, the information I mostly do it to get to connect. more so than quiet my mind. Because like you guys said, we're really, quieting the mind, or we're really like going to a state of like nothingness. Maybe some people can do that. I can't. So I do practice the whole getting into a good vibration by thinking of happy thoughts. Or if I don't find too much that I get lost in any to-do lists. I don't have a very stressful life with a list of to-dos or anything. So that's not something that personally interferes with my practice. Mine is more just like, I don't know. I don't even really know what's getting in the way other than just being able to sit still. But I do. I sit, I've meditated sometimes laying down. Sometimes I'll do walking. Sometimes I've been out on my hikes and I'll sit if there's like water and I can focus on like the sound of a creek or a waterfall or something. But mostly it's just sitting in this room that I'm in now. And sometimes I'll put frequency sounds in my ear. Sometimes I'll go to the Insight Timer app, and there's like you can set a timer and then listen to ambient sounds. They have an om sound on there, so it's like just a constant like om. I'll do that one sometimes. It all depends, but usually it's just quiet and just trying to sit still and have have my guides and my team like connect with me.
I really like the way you say that, Kim, is it's not about quieting your mind, it's about connecting. And I think that is the key phrase right there. That's really what meditation is about, is connecting to really connecting to what's beyond us, our higher selves, and those that are there to support us. So that's wonderful.
It's true, because I mean, honestly, that's how they can connect with us. They can't connect with us if we're not quieting, so they can, so then they try other ways, like through signs and symbols. And if we're, aware of it, we might see it, but usually we're oblivious because we're distracted. But that's exactly how it is. And anytime I'm, working with Jamie for help and she's done my readings, that's always the message that comes through. And I think that's pretty much the message she gives to everybody that she works with is, quiet your mind, give your guides the opportunity to come through to you, because they can't if you're not.
One thing that or actually I like to do a couple of things when I meditate, and maybe anyone who's listening, could find this useful. But I sit at my altar every single time. So I have like this beautiful sacred space. It's actually like a carved temple that I got from India when I had gone there a few years ago. And it just kind of like sets my mood, like, okay, this is my time, this is my place to kind of really just balance myself again and just spend time with me. And I'll sit there and I'll definitely pick out an essential oil, and I'll put that, where I can smell it. So of course, be careful, because there are some oils that require carrier oils, and we know somebody from our group that got burned from it. So just, be careful there. But I love to use essential oils to enhance it. And then I'll always have earbuds in my ear, and I get on SoundCloud, and SoundCloud has some amazing music that's just like meditative. There's one called Metaverse that I really, really loved. And it'll be like 2 hours, but I have obviously, you don't meditate for 2 hours right now. And so all those things kind of just get my mind in the mood. And I just instantly know, and my subconscious, superconscious is basically trained to, prepare for this meditative process. And then I use that pillar of light, and it comes down. And I know a lot of people obviously know about their 7 chakras, but I also, for any time I meditate, I also include my soul star chakra, which is like half a foot above your crown chakra. And that connects you to the universe and the universal truth and knowledge. So I always like to connect with that. And then also half a foot under us is the earth star. And that, like the root chakra grounds you, but the earth star chakra grounds your entire chakra system too. So when I connect to all of that, and then to the crystalline core of the planet. And like that is literally like my connection. And once I'm connected through my chakra system and through that pillar of light to, as above, so below, then I feel like I'm very centered and I'm able to just receive. And then I just ask, some of my best meditations have not been ones where I've had a lot of questions, it's just like show me what I need to know or tell me what I need to know. And then I'll just get all sorts of different, like past lives. I've seen, past lives of my boys. I've seen all sorts of, just very different scenarios, or just like intuitive things that I need to know for what's currently going on in my life. So I think those are all, I mean, you can use different parts of that. You don't have to do that whole process, but there's other things that we can do just to enhance it. I know a lot of people like to use candles, and it's great to like just focus on, a candle. So I don't really necessarily incorporate candles in mine, but it's another tip that works for other people.
And I love those tips. And I think it's great because you have to find what works for you, because I've tried, I feel like almost all the things. I've tried the candle and staring into the flame and focusing on that. And I've tried so many different things, and then I found what works for me, and then I just need to stick with it. And what works for me is honestly just sitting there with my pen and journal ready to write. But I think that what people might struggle with is that they're trying to do what other people do. And so I think offering different tips and for anyone that's struggling, just to try different things until you find the thing that works for you, versus trying to do what quote unquote might be like the right way to do it. Like in the beginning when I was learning, I thought, well, I have to sit here cross-legged with a mudra, silent and not thinking of anything. Like that's where I failed, until I realized like, oh no, that's not how most people do it. Then I was more successful.
For me, I think that what I typically do is I have a spot on my couch, and that's where I go to meditate. So I have, I get on my couch and I do cross-legged, but I don't do the mudras. And that's just, kind of like Avani was talking about, is that you get your mind trained, like, okay, now I'm meditating. And so then your body gets into that mode of meditation. And it's interesting that you brought up, Kim, about coffee and, drinking too much coffee. I kind of have the opposite effect. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll meditate in the mornings. And that seems to work best for me, because by the afternoons, my head is scattered all over the place. So I'll meditate in the morning. But I have found I need to drink coffee first, because if I don't drink coffee and then I get into a relaxed state, there's a very fine line between meditation and dreaming. And I am immediately into a dream state and asleep. And so I was like, oh, well, this is great. I'm supposed to be meditating. And I wake, I'm like, oh, that was sleeping. This is not helping. So I do find that I do need a little bit of coffee so that I can stay focused in my meditation, so I don't just slip off to another world where I'm not in control anymore.
Yeah, I've been there too.
When I first started meditating, kind of what Kim said about the guided meditations, I would do just quick 10-minute guided meditations. And, there's different ones that you can do that are like, that have topics like, whether it's on grief or whether it's on having a good day today, or, like a morning meditation. And I would just do those simple 10 minutes. And, and it was always in the morning when I first started, just because I felt like I needed that routine just to kind of have that discipline. And just those 10 minutes really set a really great intention for my day. It just set the mood so well. So anyone that's starting off, you would be surprised as to what a 10-minute guided meditation would do.
Another thing that I did when I first started is, I loved what Susan said about the goal is like connecting. But for so many people that aren't yet hearing their guides, or they're not sure about how that's going to work, they're like, well, who am I going to connect with, or what am I listening for? So the one thing that I would do is even just, either laying down or sitting, just focusing the energy on a certain part of your body. And I think many of us have heard a guided meditation where they talk about focus on the energy of your feet and just feel your muscles relaxing. Feel the muscles in your calves and just feel them relaxing. And then feel your hips and just feel those relax. And, just going through the different parts of your body and focusing maybe the energy on that body, just maybe relaxing that muscle. I think that gives people a great way to connect with being themselves and getting comfortable with themselves and just being quiet for a little while. Because some people that are just starting meditation, people are a lot of times these days going Mach 2, chasing kids or different jobs and just the activities of life. But if you can just sit and just be with yourself, if you can't connect yet, it's a great first step.
Yeah.
One thing I want to add also for newbies, I know when I struggled with like really quieting the mind, and like you guys said, like sometimes you just can't. And, I would say don't give up. Like when you find yourself having a thought that wasn't part of the meditation, see it as a cloud or like a balloon, just float and watch it float away. When you kind of don't give yourself grace, and you just stop meditating because there were so many thoughts, eventually those thoughts will slow down, and eventually, you'll have a more effective meditation practice. But just because you're having those thoughts, try not to give up on the whole meditation. Like continue to sit there and just watch those thoughts float away. And, at first you might have like 10, 20, 30 thoughts, but slowly, you'll have less and less of those distractions, those interruptions. And when you start, especially if you have a busy life, the busier you are, the more meditation is actually very beneficial for you, and it helps you. The busier you are, the more you probably need meditation. So don't give up just because those thoughts come in. You know what? When I first started, I will tell you, I had a very stressful job. I had a lot going on just in my life, just a very busy family life. And meditation really helped me with my stress and managing my stress, and kind of just knowing that there is more out there than what we're seeing right now in this, in that 9 to 5 hustle that that I was a part of. And, to be able to kind of connect with myself and recalibrate and recharge really helped me.
Yeah.
Definitely add to that what you just said is that it helps you to relax, it helps to reduce the stress. But I think the big thing is connecting to something beyond our 3D world, and just knowing that there's something else out there, knowing that there's more to this life than just what we see every day. That was huge for me. That was huge. I mean, I've often said that if I thought that all it was we just get up in the morning, we go to work, and we come home and we eat dinner and we go to bed and we do that, rinse, repeat all the time, I think I would go crazy. And so meditating and connecting to what's beyond this world is honestly what keeps me sane.
It's so true. And you don't know until you know, you know? You- I mean, I agree with you that, yeah, it does. It shows you that there's so much beyond this reality.
Well, and I agree with all of you ladies now, but when I first started, when Jamie first was telling me to meditate, it's very difficult for me. I had a ton of health problems. My body, I was hurting all the time. And so I have to say my first thing, I mean, although it's not really considered meditation by so many people, but it was the mantras. I would sit there every day, and I would sit there and just tell myself, I'm getting healthier every day. I'm getting healthier every day. I'm getting healthier every day. But when I was saying that, I wasn't sitting there focused on how crappy I felt. And after, it was amazing when I started doing that, and I would just spend my time, like anytime my mind started to wander, I came back to say, I'm feeling better every day. I'm getting better every day. And with it, I mean, I would do that throughout the day, because when my mind started to focus on how crappy I felt, I would shift back to that. And granted, my meditations have changed that I've experienced, and like you said, great now to connect. But, for anyone with any health problems that are experiencing a lot of pain or discomfort, and it's hard to quiet your mind or get your mind distracted. But if you can just tell your body, because I just figured I was instructing my cells to get healthier, and I just kept doing that. And for me, that was probably the most profound thing that encouraged me, because I started to feel better after that. And so we all know once we have something that's kind of like physical reinforcement that we can do, this showing results, then I would change my mantra a little bit, and I kind of went from there to get in that time where it was about me and it wasn't about life around me. It was just about me. And that was my first step.
Yeah, and you're right, Diane. You could do different versions of that mantra, right? Like, I'm getting stronger every day, or, I have a great relationship, every day, or, different forms of that mantra to help send out those positive vibrations. Because again, just like meditation, these mantras are just, a form of, of managing those vibrations you're sending out.
And staying focused on certain things. So yeah, now, I mean, it is calming to meditate. It is calming to meditate when we're maybe a little crazy in our day. So,
and you bring up another point too, Dianne, and I wanted to mention, we talk a lot about, calming and the relaxation, you relax your body. And all of those are good, especially when you're first starting and you're, stressed and you have a lot of stuff going on in your life. You need to be able to do that and to calm your mind. And I think for me, that worked. And then once I got to a certain point, it got a little bit too calm. And then again, I would fall asleep, so I realized that there's like sort of a hierarchy or a continuum on the meditation, and that I needed to stay just off the end, and still that meditation does actually require a little bit of focus. And that I needed to make sure that I was focused on meditating and not just the quieting. I think once you get to that point of knowing how to quiet your mind and get very, very relaxed, that you kind of pull it back just a little bit to be like, okay, this is what I want to accomplish in my meditation, whether that is just relaxing or connecting, or if there's something specific that you want to do.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point. Meditation, is a relaxation practice, right? If and when it becomes too frustrating, or you're putting too much thought in there, and it becomes, it becomes overwhelming when you first start out, take some time, step back, don't do it for a bit, and revisit it again if you feel that you want to try it again. It's okay to take a step back and not force yourself to do it, because anything forced usually doesn't feel good. So if and when you do not enjoy it, it's okay to pause. And I appreciate some of you that have been very honest and have expressed that sometimes you can't do it, your mind is not there, and that's okay. And not all of us are meant to, or none of us for the most part are meant to sit there for 22 hours a day to and be Buddhist monks. It is a practice, and give yourself some grace for it.
And there's been plenty of days where I'll sit down to meditate, and then you just kind of get up, you're like, well, that's not working today, so
Exactly.
another day.
Yeah.
I do want to add something though that you ladies had mentioned about getting messages, and some people are maybe at that point that are listening in, and the next thing I think we should touch on is that they need to start trusting, because when you start receiving messages from either your higher self, perhaps an angel, perhaps a past loved one, you may start questioning, like, wait, that wasn't my thought, but was it really something else? And the thing is, I think it's important to mention, pay attention to, if you are pretty sure that wasn't your thought, to trust the message or the thought that came into your head. You guys have any thoughts on that?
A lot of stuff that came through for me, I questioned it, where is this coming from? And not trusting it. I got some information in the early part of last year about my move to Arizona. And at that time, it wasn't looking like it was going to happen. But the messages that came through is, this is how it's going to happen. This is what it's going to look like. I mean, very specific details. And I'm just like, how is that going to happen? I think I shared this on another podcast, so I might be repeating the story. But basically, all the information that came through for my move, I didn't think was possible at the time, but thankfully I wrote it in my journal. And then I just more recently looked back in my journal and I read it and I was like, holy cow, like to the detail, even to the size of the storage unit that I was going to buy to put my stuff in before I made the move temporarily out here. I mean, it was insane. And that's when I truly became a believer, and like, okay, like this stuff is coming from somewhere. This is not just stuff made up in my head, because this couldn't have happened any other way. And then more recently, really quickly, I kept getting the name Christopher come up. And I even brought it up to Jamie one time. It first came up a couple of years ago, and I just wrote it down in my journal. And then the name came up again during a meditation. And then one night at our spirit group, when we were in person, I asked Jamie, I said, I keep getting this name Christopher. Like, can you tell me anything about this? Because sometimes she can tap into our guides and find out, what we're getting. And at the time she said, this has something to do with the person that you're going to meet, your soulmate, or I forget how she phrased it, but when I do move to Arizona. So since I've been in Arizona, I've been waiting, like, who's this Christopher guy? And now, I'm in a relationship with someone new. And I think it was on our third date. I'm like, what's your middle name? He's like, Christopher. I'm like, oh, you're Christopher. Okay.
Do you remember I was, when you mentioned Christopher and you were looking around for these Christophers, and I mentioned to you, I said, well, it may not be a first name. It could be a middle name.
You
or
did say
made
that.
It like a pet name.
You did say that. You're right.
Oh, it wasn't so obvious. It wasn't his first name. That's awesome.
And I knew it. You remember that? I was like, I don't think it's going to be this obvious for you.
Yeah. Yeah. How cool is that? I love it.
I think the biggest thing going to these messages, and I think you guys have heard me say this a million times, but the more you trust, the more you will receive. And I truly, truly believe that. So keep trusting, and we're just going to keep getting more and more.
Thanks. This was fun.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing, you guys.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. I know it was kind of last minute, but it was nice that we all got to kind of share.
Yeah.
Well, coming up a little bit. That meditation topic always is on our mind. So great one to cover.
So, were you able to relate to any of the challenges we experienced? Did you find any tips we shared that you haven't tried that you're going to try to incorporate into your practice? If so, please share with us by going to Beyond the Cosmic Table on Instagram and commenting on the post for this episode. Also, Avani was kind enough to record a 10-minute guided meditation to share with you. Be sure to click on the next bonus episode. Thanks once again for tuning in to our conversation around the Cosmic Table.